Hey, Bill, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jason.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Now, it was funny in kind of the pre-show, you were like, we used to do work with Solar Velocity
We did.
many years ago. But before we get into that, tell us who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Bill Swanston. I'm the president and founder of Bosun. We recently rebranded this year from Frederick Swanston. So we worked together many years ago when we were much smaller and we didn't have our own digital department, and we relied on Solar Velocity for some web work.
That's crazy. I'm like when you were telling me that, I was like, man, because I sold the agency in 11 and we probably worked together probably in '09 or '08, probably.
Probably. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a long time ago. We've since built out our own internal digital department, and that's been great. They're a great team.
Cool. Well, tell us, how did you get started?
By accident. So I moved back to Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta. My wife and I moved back from New York, having worked at some big shops up there, and was trying to decide what kind of an agency I wanted to work with. And I was freelancing at BBDO, and that's a big shop here in Atlanta. And then this
Boo.
guy, yeah, boo. Okay. No shade to BBDO, but yeah, they are a big shop. And then a buddy of mine who's an art director, I'm a copywriter, was the executive creative director at a small agency owned by a much larger agency. So I went to work with him thinking, I'd like to be a big fish in a small pond versus going to a big shop. Well, about 30 days in, he got the call from the holding company that they were going to shut us down. So maybe I chose poorly, maybe I chose wisely, but that was the impetus for starting the agency. We were able to keep a few clients, nothing big. And it was great. We started out in our basement, but we had built-in revenue. So we had it easier than maybe a lot of startups.
Yeah. And what was the biggest shock years, maybe a couple years into it? Was
Sure.
it
Yeah.
was it all sunshine and rainbows?
Oh yeah. So, yeah, and unicorns.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you started your agency in 1999 and we started in 2000. And so, shortly thereafter, 9/11 hit. And some of our clients were very heavily dependent on corporate events and things like that just came to a grinding halt. And so, we've been around for about 25 years. This is our 25th anniversary year. And so during that time, we've seen a lot of downturns, and there's this misconception that there's stability at a large agency. There really isn't, but there definitely is not stability at a tiny agency. So, at the time it was just us. So it wasn't too hard to make ends meet. We didn't have the staff that we have today, but still it was definitely not sunshine and rainbows and unicorns in the beginning.
What was the biggest conflict or challenge that you had to overcome? Like, you know, in the past quarter decade or quarter century. I
Yeah.
was like decade. I was like, what? That's not right.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you mean like in the beginning or like throughout the 25
Throughout
years?
the whole 25 years.
Got it. So I was going to say my business partner was the biggest challenge in the beginning because we had to learn how to work together as not just a creative team. That was easy, but being business owners, you have different ideas about doing things together. So we quickly learned in the first couple of years how we could best complement each other, and it turned out to be a terrific partnership. But in the last 25 years, without a doubt, COVID was the absolute worst period of time for the agency, probably for a lot of people, of course. But it was such a immediate, unlike anything else, such an immediate downturn in economics. Now you've got 30 people that are looking to you to figure it out pretty darn quickly. So that was a pretty tough period right there, for
Well,
sure.
and how did you guys get through it?
I will say that the federal government, the PPP loans and the SBA loan, things like that really came through. So that happened pretty darn quickly. We received funding, I think, within the first 60 days of the COVID outbreak, and we had reduced our salary. We actually took no salary. We had to reduce salaries across the board. And then as soon as we received that money, which was a huge benefit to the agency, we were able to turn things back around quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I was moving from Atlanta out to Colorado during COVID,
Oh, wow.
and I sold my house literally right when everything was shutting down. So we were
Mm,
driving across the country, like wiping down everything. And
sure.
I was like, thank God I sold my agency a long time ago. Like,
Yeah.
because no one knew what was going to happen. But what I realized what happened was, and this happened for a lot of people, maybe going after smaller businesses, all the places shut down other than, well, one member. One member I'll tell you about, Alano. He finally picked a niche after like 3 or 4 years of me hounding him.
Mm,
And his niche he picked was companies that go to trade shows.
okay.
And I was like, you might need to pivot. But everybody else, after maybe a couple months of everybody kind of, losing their shit, they were like, oh, we need to market. And then,
Mm,
the agencies kind of saved the way, for a lot of different businesses and pivoting. But it's just like with anything that changes, especially with AI right now, and
yeah.
everybody's, trying to get a foothold on that. And AI is not just chat GBT. If you're listening, you got to do a lot more, but it's just our market changes so quick. You got to change very fast.
You do. You have to be very nimble and flexible, and you knew that you knew that when you started your agency many years ago that digital was the path forward, and then it's now shifted. You're right, to AI, and you just have to be, as an agency, you can't be stagnant.
Yeah.
You can't just rest on your laurels and think, oh well, we'll still create print ads, and people will love that. That'll be great. Print newspapers here to stay,
Man, I used to love print ads. It was so easy to do.
right? I miss
Right?
them.
Like, you just got to get the bleed lines right, make sure everything's spelled right, and
That's right.
like
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about browsers fucking it up.
Exactly. Those were the days.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of cool like die cut stuff that
Sure.
was used for direct mail
Yeah.
and a lot of fun. Actually, I'm trying to think back of the project. You remember, like you were saying with the bank. I think the project we worked on, or one of them, was we developed an iPad app, and then we used that as a direct mail piece, sending out
Okay.
to bank customers. I think.
Fascinating. Yeah. You have a better memory than I do.
I really think that, yeah, because I remember,
We did.
and because we took what we did there, and then we did one for Aflac, and did the same. Because like that was right when the iPad came out. I can't remember
Okay.
what year it was, but like people were like freaking out because we were sending out iPads in the mail.
Oh, wow. Wow. I do. Is it possible you worked on Exide Battery? We created an app for them that was like a way to check your battery, and it was
I think so.
available, like it kind of was in partnership with Home Depot.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I mean, yeah, it's crazy kind of trying to remember back then, because I remember after, when I sold the agency, I was like, I'm going to fucking forget everything. I don't want to remember anything, right? Because I was so stained from a lot of different things. And
Sure.
it's kind of funny that I was drawn back in a couple of years later after, selling. I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. Now I need to remember everything.
Yeah, no, I love it. I must admit, I don't regret any of the decisions that we've made, even the mistakes. It's been fun. And I'm excited for what's next. I don't want to forget anything. It's been so fun to get us to this point. And I mean, I'm looking forward to the next 25 years.
Is there a mistake that really kind of stands out that you
Mm,
can think about?
Yeah, let me think about that for a second. Yes, it goes back to financials. This is not a fun thing for creatives to be thinking about, right? As
We know numbers. What are you talking about?
exactly math. What do I thought I was a
Mhm.
writer. I don't want to know math.
Mhm.
So in the beginning, everything was, QuickBooks and stuff like that. But we were still doing things very, very, sending out checks on paper and stuff like that. And I think so. The biggest mistake, we were a little late to the party to just truly embrace all of the tools that would help us be profitable, and to really look at the financials in a very, very analytical way versus just, how are we doing?
Yeah, look at the bank account, how much money
Exactly.
we got.
Yeah,
That's for
exactly.
budgeting.
Establishing KPIs for the agency. We do it for our clients, but you really do have to do it for your agency. Are we profitable across the board? With the staff, the head count. Should we have this account? Let's look at it from a financial standpoint. Is it really worth it could check another box. Maybe it's more a fulfilling account. If it's not driving fortune, maybe there's another reason to keep it. But being able to look at the financials for your agency, you really do need to embrace the tools that are out there to help you uncover the success of the agency across the board, not just did we make any money this month?
Yeah. What was happening when you weren't looking at those numbers? Were you not as profitable? Were you losing money?
Good question. I don't know, because we didn't have those analytics. I would say, it's probably not a discussion for our podcast, but there were some improprieties that were happening with some folks at the agency that we didn't really realize. And if we had had tools in place, we would have caught it a little sooner.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
People get their hand caught in the cookie jar.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit of that.
Yeah. That's funny. So what are the KPIs you guys look at now?
Do I have a whole list? You want me to pull them up real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Hang on one second.
This is always one of my favorite questions I ask in the mastermind.
Oh, yeah.
Because, most agency owners are like us, right? We're like, we knew how to do something cool. Someone offered us money and we start doing it. And we're like, KPIs, what is that?
What is that about?
Is that like an exercise?
It sounds painful. I will say it is still, math is still, you can be creative with it, right? There aren't hard and fast rules, but there are targets. All right. So we look at total salaries as a percentage of adjusted gross income.
Okay.
We look at adjusted gross income by employee and have goals for all of these, of course. We look at the number of active accounts. We are a little unique from other agencies in that we still have quite a few retainer clients. So recurring clients versus just project-based. I know there's a shift towards project work with a lot of agencies. We still have quite a few recurring accounts. We look at overhead, excluding insurance, and then we look at EBITDA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I always talk about EBITDA on the show, but a lot of times when we were buying a ton of agencies,
Mm-hmm.
and I would ask, people just don't know.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, that's just net profit. I'm like, no, well, sort of. It's kind of close, but you should know your net profit too.
Yeah.
To get to a point where you can kind of make better decisions. Are you guys also looking at like revenue per client or profit per client?
Yeah, we are. So every month we'd go through those financials quite closely and look at, which accounts are billing what and making sure that the stool is balanced, right? You don't have one account that's overwhelming everybody. There was a period when we had Bassett Furniture. We no longer have that account, but we had both the corporate account as well as probably half the retailers across the country. And that accounted for probably 50% of our billing. So that was a little scary when things started to turn south actually in 2008, and the home crisis also affected the furniture industry. So it was a little scary when that account started to dwindle.
Do you guys have someone like a CFO, or do you use like an outsourced CFO or a particular software for really kind of going through all this analysis?
Yeah, we use a couple things. We do have a contract. He's not really a CFO. He's more of a CPA, but we have a really good advisor there outside the agency. Internally, we have one of the best controllers. I think she's amazing. She's, I would say, a combination controller, CFO-ish type person. So she helps me we work very closely together to look at the financials every month. And then we use a tool called Workamajig. There's a lot of those tools out there, but it's a project management tool that also
helps with that.
It does work with accounting as well.
That's cool. Yeah, we're depending on when this podcast goes live, it should be out by this time. We developed a tool called AskQuick.ai.
Okay.
AI CFO. And it connects directly into QuickBooks, where you can ask it questions and it can tell you what you need to do. So you can be like, which is my most profitable client? Which ones am I losing money on? And it literally goes through like you're talking to a CFO. So may want to check that out. It's a cool little tool that I wish I had, because I was like you, man. Like, and sometimes I get in front of this thing. I'm like, I don't know what to ask it. Like, right? Like I
Yeah,
knew how to
sure.
tell what colors and what copy to put and where.
Right.
But a lot of times you can just go like, what are the red flags? What's going
Absolutely.
well? Right.
Yeah, I
Like,
love that. So you said you guys are developing that yourselves. Is that right?
yeah.
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 Fantastic.
AskQuick.ai. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm real excited about it, but and it can measure KPIs and all kinds of really cool stuff. But
Yeah.
when you mentioned KPIs, I was like, oh, cool. Let's talk more about that because I can learn even more for the the AI tool that we developed. So
Yeah, because you work with a lot of agencies. I'm curious. Do they not look at KPIs that closely, or
you'd be surprised.
okay.
Now, when they're in the master model, that's really, we talk about that a lot of the time, right?
Mhm.
And so they start doing that. But initially, a lot of times they don't, right? The ones that are growing, they're the ones that are looking at the KPIs. They're following kind of the methodology, like what's the Gino Wickman? Like what's the set framework? I don't EOS,
EOS, sure. The rock
EOS.
and all that. Yeah.
Yep. Right. And so those people that follow that kind of framework, they have KPIs, obviously.
Got it.
But a lot of people are just kind of reacting to the market a lot of times. And rather than being kind of proactive and going, let's get some clarity of where we're going,
Right.
And then give that power. I'm curious, you're founder and you started the agency, how long did it take you guys to get a clear vision where your employees can make decisions without you?
Oh, wow. What a great question. Definitely can do it now. We have such an amazing crew here at Bosun that I trust everybody, all the leadership and honestly, not just the leadership, but a lot of the folks that at the agency that are not necessarily in a supervisory role are empowered to make decisions for sure. So I would say for Scott Frederick and I, we probably started to really build out the account management and media and digital team about 10 years in. So for the
Okay.
first 10 years, it was Scott and Bill, and we had some help and things like that. And then we really started to bring in some support that really we trusted to make decisions on our own for sure.
Did that give you more freedom in the
Yeah.
agency, right? Like you felt like the first decade was like you were a prisoner of the agency?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say that's a entrepreneurial quality. I think you always feel like this is your child. You definitely feel a responsibility to it, but the ability to let go and to be able to trust others to take you further is essential to grow your agency. You have to be able to trust in other people's ability to help the agency succeed and to do what's right for the client. Yeah, it's essential.
So around the 10-year mark, when they started being able to make decisions, what changed? Did you tell them like, here's the direction we're going? Did you guys make decisions to get us there, or was there something else?
I wish I could say it was that structured. It was more organic. I think it's just when you win accounts and you get to the point you just can't do everything yourself. So I wish we had learned the EOS system earlier and learned how to emotionally and literally let go. But
Just too busy.
yeah, just too busy, just doing the work. And I think part of it was creative control to a degree. As a creative director, you want to make sure you're putting out the best possible product, so you're looking at literally everything before it goes out. So that was definitely a quality of both Scott and I that we had a hard time letting go of that.
Yeah. So just sheer, I can't keep up. And then you
Really.
realize your team can take it over, and you're like, oh wow. Yeah, we were every month we have a member go over a strategy that they're crushing it on. And one member was talking about how they reached this certain milestone by getting out of kind of the three things, both communication with the client, sales, and then also fulfillment.
Okay.
And she was basically talking to me like, look, I just had to kind of phase myself out and kind of bite my tongue a lot of times. Right. Like, cause you see, you want to, your team comes to you for something and you want to solve it right away.
Yeah.
But I always tell people you got to kind of throw it back at them and kind of go, well, what do you recommend? What's the issue? What do you recommend? And, go do it. And you do that enough, they're going to stop coming to you.
That's right. I think that's essential. At some point, and it works across the board. So certainly in the creative department, up until very recently, we just hired an executive creative director. But prior to that, I was definitely very, very involved on a daily basis. But when it comes to the other departments, it's up to them to figure it out. It's whether it's account management, the web team, the media buying group. I mean, they're truly autonomous, and we certainly collaborate. That's essential, but it's their decision on who to hire and where to take the agency. And you have to entrust other people to do their job. And then they do it. They do a better job, honestly, when they feel like they're empowered to make decisions and to truly shape the future of the agency. People rise to the occasion.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, Bill, this has been fun, catching up. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in?
Yeah. The one thing I'd love to just share is we did go through a rebrand this year. So that was a big decision.
Yeah, why did you guys do that? Especially after 25 years.
Well, that's why. It was our 25th anniversary. We took a look back and we really came to the conclusion it wasn't about us. It wasn't about Bill Swanston. It wasn't about Scott Frederick. And so Frederick Swanston as a name of an agency just felt a little too chest beating and didn't really reflect the agency, not only the name in terms of people, but just who we are as a group. And so we rebranded as Bosun, and it's been going great. Our client, we haven't skipped a beat. You're nervous when you rebrand. Are we going to lose the equity that we've built as Frederick Swanston? But for an ad agency, it's really about the relationships that you have. And honestly, it's been great to see our client partners embrace it and to celebrate it with us.
That's cool. When I started Solar Velocity, the original name was Swank Technologies. You probably can't see it on the camera, but I felt so embarrassed when I would cold call people out of the yellow pages. I'd be like, hey, this is Jason Swank with Swank Technologies. And it seemed like back then everyone was naming their agencies based on name. So
correct.
Right. And even our consultancy here was named jasonswank.com. And 4 years ago, we changed it to Agency Mastery. We're like, because it's not about me, right? It's more about the cool community people in there, not just, my dumbass. So
that's it 100%. We did the same. That's exactly the rationale for us, was to be on the name change.
Cool. Well, awesome. Well, Bill, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was good catching up. And for everyone listening in, if you want to be around other amazing agency owners that can see the things you might not be able to see and just have a community of like-minded people, I want you to go to agencymastery.io and we can have a conversation, see if you're right for the community. If not, we'll go from there. And until next time, have a swank day. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.